Greetings, Internet people. I'm Alaska Crypto Guy, and it's a pleasure to be back. Today, I will be teaching you how to use NodeValet to deploy a Sierra 3.0 DIP3 Masternode. When I first looked at the installation of these masternodes, I noticed that they are done very differently than the typical masternodes that we have installed in the past. We had to go back to the drawing board and completely redesign the interface for NodeValet to make that possible, but I'm happy to say that after a lot of work, we got it where I'm ready to show a demonstration. Jumping right in, I'm looking at the SierraCoin wallet here in front of us now. The first thing that I want to do is go ahead and, if you don't already have enabled, we need to enter options and then go to wallet. I'm looking to enable coin control features and also the Masternode tab. It looks like we will need to restart the wallet before those take effect, so go ahead and exit and then restart Sierra. And I've already went ahead and sent some Sierra into this wallet. If not, you will want to do so. The Sierra Masternode does require 10,000 collateral, but you also need a little bit more than 10,000 just so one of your addresses has a balance to pay a transaction fee when you're actually getting the Masternode started. So we do need a few different addresses to create this Masternode, so I'm going to go ahead and create those now. So the first address I'm going to create is going to be my Masternode address, so I'm going to give it a creative name, Sierra Masternode 1, and I'm going to press OK. All right, now these DIP3 Masternodes, they do require another couple of addresses. One is going to be an address that will receive your Masternode rewards, and the other is an owner address and also a voting address, but I usually use the owner and voting addresses the same. So we're going to go ahead and create the payout address. This is just the one the rewards are going to go to. And then we're going to create an owner address. And that helps identify us as the owner of this Masternode. So right now, my 10,002 Sierra have all been sent to this first address, but I'm going to go ahead and send the collateral address, or the collateral transaction, to the Masternode. So I copied that address. Then you will paste the address you're going to send to. You're going to send the exact amount, 10,000 Sierra. And actually, I am going to set the change address to be that payout address that we created earlier, just so we end up with some change there to pay the fee when those Masternode rewards start coming in. So that transaction looks good, just the way I want it. I'm going to go ahead and send. Confirm that. Transaction is sent. Now that's done, it's going to take one confirmation before we'll be able to get the transaction ID, and the transaction ID is a piece of information that we're going to need for our Masternode setup. To get that, actually, there we go. Okay, so now I can see the transaction. I lost 0.01 Sierra. That was the transaction fee. That's nothing to worry about. We're going to go into the debug console, and we're going to collect our transaction ID. Okay, so there is our transaction ID. I like keeping track of all of this information in Notepad because it makes it easier to go back and forth. Alright, so transaction ID there. Index, every index I've seen so far for Sierra has been 1. You might get something else, but for now, just keep it 1 because that's what it says to. So I have my transaction ID. Just go back in there. Since I made these addresses, I'm going to go ahead and copy them now. Copy the owner address. I'm going to copy the payout address. And since I made it, I'm going to copy the Masternode address as well. Okay, so now I have everything. I sent that transaction as the first step just because the Masternode will not start until that transaction has received 15 confirmations. So I wanted to get that part out of the way, so when we hop over and get the deployment started, that has time to accumulate some of those confirmations. The other piece that is important for a NodeValet Masternode installation is that you have a hosting account at either Vultr or DigitalOcean. Today I'm going to be using DigitalOcean, and the NodeValet GUI interface ties directly into DigitalOcean and will create the VPS and provision it and configure it properly and install the Sierra wallet software. It'll also install some pretty cool things that will keep your server up to date, make sure the Masternode is always running, and if your VPS host ever has any problems or the server goes down, it will immediately come back up and restart that service, and you shouldn't lose your spot in the reward line. So NodeValet just keeps everything running pretty tidy. Okay, so I have logged into my DigitalOcean account here. In order to get that API, we need to go over to Account, API, and then we see one that I've used here. Well, I've used it for quite a while, so I'm not ready to share it with you all just yet. But for this video, I'm going to create a new one. I'm just going to call it Sierra. The default scopes are fine, read and write. We're going to generate that token, and I will be deleting this right after the video, so don't bother trying to copy that down yourself and get access to my DigitalOcean account, because it's not going to happen. Alright, so there's the DigitalOcean API. With that in place, we are now ready to hop over to NodeValet and get started. If this is your first time here, you can click through the Get Started, which shows you some more information about how we do over at NodeValet. Or you can just jump right into Deploy Masternode. That's where we are right now. If you don't already have a NodeValet deployment key, you can purchase one here. Just click on the here, and you will see instructions. Once you press Get Address, it gives you a Bitcoin address. You can send exactly 0.001 Bitcoin to that address, and within a few minutes it will confirm, and you will get your NodeValet deployment key. So I already have one, which I created just for this video, so I don't need to go through that process, but if you don't already have one, that's a great way to get it. Let's go back to deploy that. Okay, so I have my deployment key here. This is good for one installation, so again, don't bother trying to copy it, and you're not getting a free lunch from me today. When you purchase a NodeValet deployment key, the pretty great thing is it actually counts for 5 Masternode deployments, or rather 5 full deployments. If you're using other supported coins, NodeValet can help you set up multiple Masternodes per VPS, but with DIP3 and the way that it is set up to not use IP version 6, we are not able to install multiple Sierra Masternodes on the same server. So we're limited to 1 installation per server. For that reason, we're going to enter that deployment key here. Press Next, then it'll ask you what your VPS provider is. We've generated an API for DigitalOcean, so that's the one that I selected. We're going to go ahead and copy and paste that into the key, and then we're going to test that API for connectivity. And if you've got everything correct, this means that NodeValet was able to make a connection to your VPS host, and really the rest is the pretty easy part. We're going to select what our coin was here. Of course, we're going to select SierraCoin from the list. The operating system, it really doesn't matter which of the 3 you choose, but I'm going to go with Ubuntu 20, just because I like to stay up to date whenever I can. The VPS plan, this matters more if you are trying to stick multiple masternodes on the same VPS. You might be doing that with a different project, but as I said, with SierraCoin you cannot. So we're going to go with the cheapest plan we can, which is for, I'm pretty sure Vulture and DigitalOcean both have a $5 plan. That's the one we're going to select there. You can choose where your server is if you have a preference. Pick something close to home. I'm going to go with Toronto because it's the closest to Alaska that I can see. And then we can give our masternode a name. I'm going to call mine Sierra MN1, or actually it's going to add that part, so I'm just going to leave it at Sierra. If you want to use a custom SSH port, you can, otherwise it will just default to 22 to control your VPS. But with that, now we're ready to start entering the specific information about our VPS, and I placed that all in the notepad earlier just so we can get to it easily. The first one is transaction ID. I copied that in there. The index was 1. We're going to set those. This is where now our payout address. I want to put that payout address that we chose earlier. And this is the one that does require you to have some Sierra in it to pay the transaction fee. So just to make sure that this goes correctly and I don't want it to fail for any reason, I'm going to switch over to the wallet and just make sure that that transaction or that address does have some Sierra in it. Easiest way to do that, we enabled coin control features earlier, so I'm just going to go to send and check the inputs. And as you see, yes, our change all went into the payout address exactly as we wanted it to, so we won't have any problems there. Alright, so the owner address and the voting address I mentioned, I like those to be the same. There might be a situation where you pay somebody else to host your masternodes and you would want the voting key to be separate, but in this case you are hosting your own masternode, so there's no reason to split those up. All right, that's the hard part. If you made it this far, you are almost done with your SierraCoin masternode. Now I'm going to click the Create Masternode. It gives you one chance to verify the information you've entered. At that point, we're going to kick it off, and this is where NodeValet's magic really takes over. NodeValet is going to contact DigitalOcean. It's creating a VPS. It's provisioning it as you selected, installing Ubuntu, applying the names, getting software up to date, and then NodeValet is about to take care of all the rest, and it will not prompt us for further input until after the wallet is already installed, the blockchain is already syncing, and then it asks for some transactions to confirm the collateral and to kick off and activate the masternode. So I'm going to sit back and allow that to happen. I'm going to speed up time in the video just so you don't have to wait here watching, but we will pick up as soon as the masternode installation is finished and ready for additional input. Don't be alarmed if it takes a few minutes for something to happen. This time it looks like it took about 2.5 minutes for DigitalOcean to kick off the backend and get the VPS provision and ready for us. It's already going through the Sierra setup, and actually it's almost finished, so by the time you see anything, it's already well underway. It's worth noting that DigitalOcean will email you your login credentials for root. If you want to access the VPS, you sure can. It is 100% your server under your control. NodeValet never knows what any of the login credentials are. We don't have any SSH access to it after the initial setup. Well, really, we don't have any access to it ever. The installation script it kicks off is all on our GitHub, so you can review exactly what's going on. After NodeValet finishes configuring the masternode VPS, it will reboot the server. That's what's going on right now. As soon as it comes back up, it will reestablish contact, and at that point, it kicks off kind of an interactive exchange of information between you, the masternode owner, and the VPS itself. This is going to register the prepare transaction. Basically, you're just going to be copying commands and pasting them in the debug console, and then pasting the response from the debug console back into the NodeValet terminal, and after a few exchanges, your masternode will be running. You can go ahead and click the copy command to copy it into the clipboard, and then switch back over to the wallet. You're going to go into the debug console, you're going to paste that transaction, and you're going to copy the response. Make sure you get both of the brackets. That is necessary. You don't want the little arrow. If you do, you will probably get an error. So we're going to copy that. Control C, of course, copies. Switch back over. We're going to paste that in. Press the next key. You get the signing message for the transaction. We're copying that command again. Hop back over to your debug console. Control V to paste that. Press enter. There's another piece of information we're going to take from your debug console. We're going to paste that back into NodeValet install window. Press next. You get another transaction. We're going to copy that transaction. We're going to switch over to the debug console. We're going to Control V to paste that. Press enter. We just sent the signing transaction, and copy that last piece of information over. Paste it in. Press next. Congratulations, your Sierra masternode has been successfully deployed. Yeah, that's it. We're done. Your masternode at this point will start paying rewards. If you want to confirm that it is up and running, you are welcome to switch over. You can close out the debug console now. But if you go over to masternodes and choose My Masternodes Only, you will see your masternode has been set up and is now in the list. And now it's just a matter of time before your rewards start flowing in. So hopefully that was much easier than you previously set up your Sierra masternodes. As you can see, it hasn't even been 10 minutes since we kicked off the installation on NodeValet. And yeah, quick, painless, inexpensive, no residual fees. You pay for the cost of your VPS, and that's it. So happy masternoding, take care, and don't be afraid to press buttons. I almost forgot. I told you that we were going to sign into our Masternode VPS just to make sure everything was working correctly, so I wanted to do that before we sign off. All right, I've already installed Putty on my machine, so that's how we'll be connecting to it. I copied and pasted this information from the email, which DigitalOcean sent me, but basically we're just going to take the IP address, we're going to open that. I'm going to be deleting this VPS soon, so there's no reason to accept the key. Root, we're going to sign in using the root password. DigitalOcean always makes you change that password the first time you sign in, so don't be freaked out by that. Just right-clicking to paste that password in again, and then I'm entering my super secret password, which nobody else, hopefully, is aware of. If we scroll back up a little bit, you'll just see the NodeValet banner that shows that NodeValet was installed on this VPS. It describes that we are logged into a Sierra Masternode. Again, a reminder, all of your money always, all of your crypto always stays in your local wallet, so it doesn't actually get saved on the server. So even if somebody were to gain access to your DigitalOcean VPS or your Vultr VPS, it doesn't really let them do anything other than break your Masternode, but it's a $5 VPS, so just delete it and spend 8 minutes to redeploy. There's really nothing to lose there. Anyhow, we have several scriptlets that you can look at after you sign into your VPS. This is just how to use NodeValet, but essentially if you want to look at any of your logs or configuration files, you can use those first two commands. For this, I want to check the status of the blockchain and make sure that that's syncing or has synced correctly already. The command to use for that is get info, and then as you can see, Sierra still has a relatively small blockchain, so it sure doesn't take very long for that to sync. You can see here the version, the protocol, the blocks are all correct. We have 8 connections, so it's pretty healthy. It's got good connections to other masternodes. The next command I want to issue is Masternode Status, and that will tell you what the status of your masternode is. There is no surprise here. I typed Masternode Status, and I see all of the information that we used earlier to create the transactions. Most importantly, at the bottom it says status is ready. So yeah, your Masternode is in good shape. It's fully operational, and it's only a matter of time now before the Masternode starts paying rewards. So on that note, I'm going to leave you, and take care, and come see us at NodeValet. Hop onto our Discord if you have any questions. We would love to help you out, and if there's some other Masternode coins that you're excited about, let us know, and we will see if we can add support for those too.